Hey guys, don't laugh at me, but my backdrop is literally just a white curtain. As you can see, too lazy to iron it, so. Hey guys, it's Dione and I am back by popular demand doing another storytime video. The first two storytime videos were about experiences I've had at concerts slash celebrity meeting sort of thingy-mabobbies, not stalking because I'm not crazy. The first one I had was an experience with Ashton Irwin from 5 Seconds of Summer, and the second video was an experience I had at a One Direction concert. And the next one I'm going to be telling you about in today's video is an experience I had at a YouTuber convention sort of thing, with particular focus on Troye. Now, if you know me personally or you've seen my previous story times, you would know that I have had a lot of bad luck when it comes to concerts. And you know what? I'd like to say that this story is a good experience, but it's not. Get ready for round 3 of Dion's shitty concert show experience things. Before I start the story, I just want to make it clear that my purpose of this is to not insult anyone. With the Ashton video, a lot of people thought I was personally insulting him when I wasn't. I was just stating the story that happened because it was requested from you guys. You'll tell when you hear the story that I'm not actually insulting anyone, I'm just recounting. This story takes place in April of 2015. I travelled up to Perth to go to a YouTube convention called Amplify, which is basically Australia's version of VidCon, but not as big and not as many YouTubers. So I was originally already going up to Perth the week before to go to see Ed Sheeran, and then when they announced that this was happening, I was like, holy shit. And my first thought was, I swear to God, if Joe is not there, I'm gonna sue. He wasn't on the lineup, but it's okay because they put bloody Troye on it, didn't they? They put Troye on the lineup and they put Connor on the lineup. I was freaking the hell out. I was like, nah, I need to stay in Perth the extra week so I can go and see Troye. If you haven't seen any of my other videos and this is your first time watching me, I live in a town which is about 10 hours south of the capital city of my state in Australia, which is Perth, if that makes sense. I had to travel on the bus for 10 hours. I planned on staying with my sister. I was going to the show with my best friend Ali. If you see my vlogs, she's in those. If not, I will link her Twitter down below and you can go and follow her there. So she was staying at her house, obviously, because she lives there. And I was staying with my sister, and we planned to meet up the day before and go to the airport to see all of the YouTubers when they came to Perth. If that makes sense, if you catch my drift, you know what I'm saying. We had no idea what time their flight was going to be, so our plan was, okay, we'll meet up on the train, we will train to the airport, and we will just sit there all day until they get there. Sounds so bad, but I know a lot of people around the world do this for people that they love, so forgive me. So we got there at about 9 o'clock and we sat with some friends. I spent about 3 hours writing a letter for Troye saying how much I loved him and, you know, really cringy fangirl stuff. And then one of the people that was on the lineup posted a photo of their ticket and was like, Perth, we're coming for you. And their flight arrived at 3 p.m. So the second this photo was posted, everyone was freaking out. So many people flocked into the airport. Basically, there's an upstairs level and a downstairs level. We were upstairs, but the second that their plane landed, everyone just like ran towards the gate where we knew that they were coming out of. So Ali and I were like, nah, let's go. We ran all the way downstairs and we stood at the bit where we knew that they would walk through. I'm so bad at explaining this. There was a bit where they would walk through after they've gone from the top level down, and we were right there. Once all of the YouTubers got off of the plane, we heard screaming from where we were standing and we were like, holy crap. Most people were there for every single person on the lineup, but then there's Ali who's there for Connor and me who's there for Troye, and we're just standing there like, oh my god. Like, we honestly thought that we were going to meet them. We were standing there and I remember seeing this whole group of people walk out, and there was security guards. I want to say there was police officers. There was a lot of people, and I saw Tide. Oh my god, that means Troye is somewhere. And I just remember like not being able to talk at all. And then next thing I know, he's literally right in front of myself and Ali, and Ali says to Troye, hey Troye, can we like chat and take some photos or whatever, like my friend has a present to give to you. And I was just standing there like, Troye Sivan is right there. Troye? What? No. And then Troye said to us, look, I really love to, but I've got to go get my luggage. So once I go get my luggage, I'll come back and I will meet you guys and chat to you guys more after that. And then he walked off and Ali was like, thanks, Troye. And I was like, next minute. Literally all the fans from upstairs came downstairs. If you've seen my 5 sauce story where I was talking about all the fans in the airport, it's like 4 times that. They were mobbing all of the YouTubers except for a couple. There were some that were just like walking freely. I just looked at Ali and I was like, yeah, it's not gonna happen, is it? And she's like, I don't think so. We got to the bus where all of the YouTubers were getting on to leave, and when we got there, we couldn't see Troye. He's the most popular one, like no offense to the others, but him and Connor were the most popular people on the lineup. So we kind of knew that they would have been the first ones on the bus, and then the bus drove off and my heart broke a little bit. There was a group of us, there was about 5 of us, myself and Ali included, and we all got onto the bus because none of us could drive, we didn't have a car. We all got onto the bus and headed to the hotel, or the closest route we could get to their hotel. When we were on the bus, Troye tweeted and he said, I'll insert it somewhere on the screen, see you guys waiting or something. I can't remember what it was, but Ali and I knew that it was directed at us because we talked to him. Well, Ali talked to him and I just So they were staying in the city and we caught the bus to the city, but the bus stopped about 4 blocks from the hotel and didn't go any further, so we had to get off and we had no choice but to run to where the hotel was. And my heart was pounding. I was like, well, the bus with the YouTubers on it was way ahead of us because we'd just gotten on a public bus, so they're probably all in there by now. So we all sprinted to the hotel and my phone was blowing up. I was getting texts, tweets, phone calls from my other friends that were at the hotel, like, hurry up, you need to get here now. We were a couple of meters away from the hotel and I could just see like so many fans that were just swarmed out the front of the hotel. Literally the second that I got to the group of people, Ali and I saw Troye and Connor getting pushed into a van and then they left and I just broke down. I was like so upset. I was so close, like we were so close in the airport and then we were so close here, like no joke, we were like 7 seconds away from Troye. I ran up to one of my friends, she hugged me and I was like, what just happened? And she was like, oh, I don't want to make you feel worse, but Troye and Connor literally just met everyone that was here and got photos with us and everything. And I'm so ashamed, but I literally bawled my eyes out in front of everyone. And people came up to me and they were like, and I just wanted to like slap that phone out of their hands. Looking back at it now, obviously I'm happy for all those people, but at the time I was like, oh, I just want to meet Troye. So there was this lady and she was in a deep conversation with Shani Grimmond and Troye Sivan, if that's how you say her name, and Kurt Coleman. She was talking to all of them. After that, she must have seen me crying. She came up to Ali and myself and she said, why are you crying? Like, what's wrong? And I said, well, I've traveled 10 hours and I really want to meet Troye. She was like, do you know who I am? And Ali and I just sort of looked at each other and we were like, sorry, we don't actually know who you are. And she's like, oh, that's okay. But basically, I'm the lady that runs this YouTuber convention. And Ali and I were like, oh my God, hopefully we haven't offended her or something by like showing, like being upset. And the lady was like, look, what's your name and what's your seat numbers for the show tomorrow? So we told her, she wrote them down, like our full names, first name, last name, our seats. And then she said to us, tomorrow at the show, we're going to be bringing people up on stage and I've written your names and your seat numbers down and I'll give it to the host or she'll give it to someone. And Ali and I were just like, oh my God, like thank you so much. We weren't expecting it at all. So we stayed for a little bit longer after that happened, and it was mainly just because we were hanging out with our friends that were there as well, because obviously I don't get to see them at all. So we were all hanging out at the front of the hotel. And then it got to about 8 o'clock and it started raining. Ali and I were like, we need to get out of here. Like, we're in the middle of the city. We need to go home. It's raining. Ali's parents were out that night. So the plan was that she was going to come back to my sister's place with me. And then her parents were going to pick her up from there. So I called my sister and I said, look, we're at so-and-so in the city. Can you please come and pick us up? Like, we're ready to go and it's raining. And she's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going out for dinner and then to a movie with my boyfriend. So we hopped on the train and we got to the middle stop between where we were were both staying. And then we caught a bus to a shopping centre because we were so hungry, like we hadn't eaten all day. We sat in this KFC and our phones were both incredibly low. I was lucky that I bought a portable charger so we could both get our phones up to like 20%. But we had to refrain ourselves from using our phones. We had little money. We had to buy the tiniest little box of chips. So we're sitting in this KFC eating this tiny little box of chips. And I say to Ali, like, what do we do? Do we just sit here until my sister's finished at the movies and wait for her to pick us up? Or like, what do we do? Bear in mind, this was at like 8:30 at night. So all of the buses were gone. So we didn't know our way back to the train station if we wanted to catch the train. We weren't going to walk around in pitch black nighttime because it was really dark. We weren't going to walk around like there were strangers. Neither of us knew the neighborhood that we were in. So a few minutes later, I got a text from my sister saying, our car's just broken down in the middle of the city, so we can't come and get you. I called her and she was like, no, I'm not kidding you. Like, we were on our way to the restaurant and our car has broken down. We need to call and get it towed. So we don't know if we're going to be able to get you until later on. And at this very moment, the KFC that Ali and I were sitting in needed to close because it was 9 o'clock at night. So we walked out of this KFC and we saw McDonald's. Usually McDonald's are like 24 hours. So we were like, oh, thank God we can sit in here. We went to go to the Macca's and it was shut. So it had shut at 9 o'clock as well. And then, literally not even kidding, I got off the phone with my sister and it started raining. So it's dark, it's cold, it's raining, we're still hungry, we're in a neighborhood that we don't know, and like, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna die? We don't know. So we have no idea what to do. Both of our phones are about to die, like we're freaking out. So I tweeted out about the situation that we were in and I was like, myself and Ali are stranded in the middle of a suburb that we have no idea where we are, we don't know what's going on, like, what? Like, lol. Basically just having a laugh about the situation. And we were standing under a bus shelter and my friend called me and she was like, where are you? And we sort of told her where we thought we were. And she was like, oh my God, like I live 5 minutes from there. So her and her mum, God bless, they came and picked us up. We were saved. So she drove us back to my sister's house and we got there. Obviously my sister wasn't there because her car was still getting towed. So we had to sit out the front of my sister's house for like another hour before she got home. But at least we were back at the house. So my sister gets back, we go inside, and then Ali got picked up at like 1 AM in the morning. And I was like, see you tomorrow, because tomorrow's the actual Amplify YouTuber event thingy. The next day we were up really early again and we got to the venue. As I said, we didn't have meet and greets, so we waited at the back of the venue. We were like, well, that's where their cars have got to come in. They've got to go in that way, so hopefully we'll see them there. I just want to say, people in the comments are going to be like, oh, well, why didn't you get a meet and greet? Like, this would have been so much easier. I'm just going to explain why I didn't get it. We didn't get meet and greets because it was $200 to meet a bunch of people that, no offense, we didn't actually like. Like, we only liked Troye, Connor and Kurt. I just felt bad personally paying $200 and having to meet people that I didn't really like. Like, what's the point of doing that? I didn't want to jeopardize someone else's opportunity to meet the people on the lineup. Like, if someone liked every single person on that lineup and they didn't get meet and greets because I got meet and greets and I only liked 3 people, I would feel so bad. I was broke because I had to travel 10 hours and I was still in school, so I had no money and I couldn't really afford to pay $200. So we waited at the back of the venue for hours. I can't even remember how long it was. And at about 1 PM, Sean, Troy's dad, pulled up with Tide, Troye and Connor all in the car. There was not many of us at the back of the venue and we were just waiting, trying to be cool, trying to be chill. And Ali and I decided the smartest thing for us to do was to outfit repeat from the day before. So we were wearing the same thing because we were hoping that Troye and Connor would notice that it was us and Troye would remember us from talking to us at the airport. They waved to us in the car and then they like drove in to the back of the venue. I remember shouting out like, Troye, your outfit is so on point, or something really, really lame, and he just like looked at me and was like, So after that they went into the venue and we were like, oh, okay, so then I'm gonna come back out. We walked to the front of the arena and an hour passed before it was time for everyone to go in for the meet and greets. We had no money, we couldn't really go and eat, so we sort of just sat there. We sat there for like 3 hours. We watched every single person walk into the meet and greet. A girl from Ali's school went up to the ticket box and said her name and they gave her like 5 free meet and greets because she got upgraded. That lady took our names down. That was like the person that was managing Amplify. Like maybe we can get upgraded. We walked up to the guy, the host, or like one of the like presenter or like YouTuber people, someone that worked in Amplify. Like he had an Amplify shirt on and we went up to him. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not trying to insult and I'm not trying to come across as a bitch, but he was really rude to us. Like we went up to him. We spoke to blah 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 yesterday at the front of the hotel and she took our names and our seat numbers down. Do you know anything about if that's to do with ticket upgrades or if that's like we're going to be called on stage? Because we just heard a girl get 5 free meet and greets. He was like,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
As if Ali and I were lying. Okay, maybe he wasn't told, but he was like,
are you sure? Because I don't think that happened because I haven't heard anything about it.
Ali and I just sort of looked at each other and we were like, why would someone even stoop so low to make up a story like that just to meet Troye? Like I love Troye with all my heart and soul, but I would not make up a story like that just to meet him. So we just walked off from this guy and we sat down in the line for like the general admission, which is the tickets we had. So we got in, everything was cool. Got in our seats, we were like really far back so we could barely see anything. And then while they were waiting for like all of the YouTubers to come on stage, they ran a competition. They were like, you have to post a photo on Instagram with like this hashtag and we'll pick people to come on stage. So Ali and I were both spamming on Instagram photos of us like with the hashtag so we could win. And then the Amplify like account liked one of my photos, or Rimmel or whoever they were partnered with, someone liked one of my photos and I was like, Ali, it's happening, like we have this in the bag. Like they've got our names, they've got our seat numbers, they've just liked my photo on Instagram, like it's gonna happen. We are getting up on that stage. So Amplify started, it was all chill, it was all good. Tide was, you know, tearing up the wiki DJ thing, and then they announced the people that were going up on stage and it wasn't us. Ali and I just looked at each other and we were like, really?
Really?
At the time we were both like really upset because we just didn't understand why that lady took our names and our seat numbers down and like told us, like she gave us that false hope that we were gonna like go up on stage and then we didn't. Looking back on it, I don't care about it now because it was actually I'm friends with a girl now that went up on stage, so I'm like happy for her and it's all G. But at the time I was really upset and offended and confused at the whole situation. So anyway, it got to the end, Amplify was over and we left. Ali's mum picked us up and we both just burst out into tears in the car. We were like, that was basically it. I spent the next day just at my sister's house in bed because I was so exhausted and I was like, I'm not even bothering going into the city because I ain't gonna see them. I'd rather sleep. So all in all, it was kind of a roller coaster of emotion kind of story. Don't get me wrong, we kind of like met Troye. Not really, I don't class it as meeting, but Ali spoke to him and I kind of stood there and just panted like a dog. Had a couple of close calls meeting him, got told we were going to go on stage and then didn't, got stranded and lost in the middle of Perth, and yeah, that's a story. A couple of months later, Ali did meet Troye and Connor though, so that made me really happy because after all that we went through, I was so stoked that she finally got to meet them. That concludes this story time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because I would really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments below if you've had any interestingly, insanely weird experiences with anyone. I would love to hear them. Make sure you also hit me up on my social media as well. The links are right here or they are down below in the description. And while you're at it, why not hit that subscribe button as well so you're notified every time I make a video and you can keep up to date with me and my really horribly embarrassing concert story experiences. Just my life in general is an embarrassment. I love you guys so much. I hope you're having an incredible day, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye.